Oh, we're live now, it says.
You are now live.
All right. Thank you, Jake.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Jake.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye. Okay, sounds like we're all set. So we can do the election commission first whenever you're ready, Your Honor.
Okay, sounds good. Let's start the meeting for the Elections Commission. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Whitman,
Here.
Iko Angeli,
Here.
Vining,
I have not heard from the councilwoman, so, but we're on time, so.
okay. Germaine,
Here.
Lamore,
Here.
Felder,
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Present. You have a couple items for commission action?
Yeah, I really have one item for commission action. It's the approval of resolution delegating authority to appoint election inspectors for precincts, AV board, and receiving board. And just a little bit of background here. Obviously, a lot of what we're living in right now is ever changing, and it's no different with election inspectors. We've had numerous cancellations, more than I've ever experienced as clerk. It's happening throughout the state. And so what the state is advising is that rather than having to keep coming back to the election commission, we simply ask the election commission via resolution to delegate the authority to appoint inspectors and assign them to precincts to the clerk. So Matt Buds reviewed it, and we were in agreement. So what it was attached to your election commission agenda is a resolution, a brief resolution, just giving me authority to appoint for the August.
Because I don't have the.
Whoops. So what I need is a motion to approve that resolution, and I did include the motion on the agenda.
Council Michael Angeli.
Yes, Your Honor, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution delegating authority to the clerk treasurer, Michelle Lavoie, to make precinct appointments.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion by Commissioner, I should say, Michael Angeli, supported by Commissioner Lamore to for the approval of the resolution as was stated. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Whitman,
Yes.
Iko Angeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Germaine,
Yes.
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes.
All right, and then the only other thing I wanted to do was just remind the commission that the public accuracy test is scheduled via Zoom, and you will receive that invitation. It's scheduled for Tuesday, July 28th at 8 a.m. And that's all I have this evening, Your Honor.
Okay, I know we had several favorable responses to attend, and I know that we'll have the necessary number, and anybody can obviously join in.
Yes.
Oh, just need a motion. Oh, well, first I should stop. Is there any commissioner comments? And do I see, I don't know, do we see?
I see no attendees.
No attendees, so no citizens comments. I need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Lamore, supported by Commissioner Whitman to adjourn. You need a roll call, is that correct?
I do.
Yes, please do.
Commissioner Whitman,
Yes.
Iko Angeli. Iko Angeli, good. Vining,
Yes.
Germaine,
Yes.
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes, so we're adjourned on this meeting, and I guess moving forward on our regular meeting, we need to go into a, well, I guess we need to call that meeting to order. I'm sorry, I'm catching up with myself here. So at this time, with the election commission meeting closed, I'll call the city council meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Whitman,
Here.
Iko Angeli, Vining,
Here.
Germaine,
Here.
Lamore,
Present.
Felder,
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Present. So if you would, please begin with the invocation and the pledge. Or do you want to go, or are we going to the special meeting first?
We can go into the closed executive session.
Okay, now I'm looking for a motion then.
Your Honor.
Councilman Lamore.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we go into closed session to discuss the city manager's review.
I think we have 3 items on the for the closed executive session: land acquisition, labor negotiations, and city manager performance evaluation.
Please include those in my motion.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, the motion by Councilwoman Moore, supported by Councilwoman Germaine to go into closed executive session for the three topics stated. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Whitman,
Yes.
Michael Angeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Yermani,
yes.
Lamore,
Yes.
Elder,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes, and I know that Mr. Buds just sent us a follow-up invite to that session, so we can zoom out of here and we'll see each other shortly. I think we're gonna wait for a couple more here. And a reminder that we are streaming on the YouTube for everybody. I think we'll wait for a couple more here. And a reminder that we are streaming on the YouTube for everybody. So I see 6 members with myself, and Councilwoman Whitman is muted, but no video. If Councilwoman Whitman, if you can hear, if you unmute, we can at least get started. Oh, there we go. So Councilman Michelangeli.
Your Honor, I'll make a
Members with myself and Councilwoman Whitman is
Second.
muted, but no video. If Councilwoman Whitman, if you can hear, yeah, you at least get started. So I'm not sure if everybody can have that feedback. There was a motion by Councilman Michelangeli, supported by Councilman Lemore to go back into open session. Clerk, please go ahead. Your Honor, I'll make some members with myself and Councilwoman Whitman is muted, but no video. So, Michelle, go ahead. We're getting feedback. somewhere.
Yeah, I can't hear anything except feedback, reverberation. So
I'm not sure everybody can have that feedback. There was a motion by Councilman Michelangeli, supported by Councilman Lemore to go back into open session.
so Jody is trying to get in touch with Jake.
Go ahead. We're getting feedback.
Yeah, I can't hear anything except feedback, reverberation. So
I'm not sure everybody can have that feedback. There was a motion by Councilman Michelangeli, supported by Councilman Lemore to go back into open session.
That is Michelle Lavoie that is feedbacking.
It is.
Yep, I just muted her. Mark, you are now a co-host.
Thank you.
Your Honor, if I may, it may be that Michelle had 2 devices. It looks like she's logged off and is going to log back in. Clerk Treasurer Lavoie.
Okay, we still have a minute. We'll wait for Clerk Treasurer Lavoie to come back on, see if we can do it without the feedback. And I have the motion in a second. We have time.
Hey, Jake, it doesn't show me as a co-host.
Sorry, Mark, it looks like you were joined from 2 devices, so I made the other one a co-host now too.
The other Mark.
I'm not sure what that other Mark Cochran is.
Want me to kick it?
No.
Yeah. Oh.
It's Vince.
No?
That might be me.
That's Vince.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
that's right.
What's that one? I see Vince and I see
Yeah,
Mark
there's
Cochran.
Cochran's on there, yeah.
Oh, I see it now.
Yeah, that one might be, yeah, that probably could be kicked.
I'll kick it. It's gone.
Thank you, Jake.
Oof.
Matt, you're okay, you're making the call now.
Your Honor, if I might just say during when we get to the regular meeting agenda, I am going to ask council to add an item on there related to the CDBG program budget. So
Yeah, I saw you did send an email just right before the meeting started, and hopefully the council member received that to be able to recite that.
well, Mark, I think you have the capability of pulling that up. Yeah, okay, we'll do that
Okay.
when we get to that part of the meeting.
Okay.
That's exactly what is the budget or the agenda amendment, just CDBG budget?
Yeah, it's going to be the agenda item's going to schedule public hearing to consider substantial amendment to the Community Development Block Grant Program year 2019-20 allocation. And what it is just to schedule a meeting where we essentially take what's been previously allocated, the balances, and then move it in toward the Opportunity Center at ALCC, kitchen, interior improvements. And so we'll have a CDBG timeline for approval as well as a contractor drawdown when we're actually going to need it. So,
So Vince, if I understand, the request is for a public hearing, is that correct?
we'll schedule one.
Or schedule it, yes.
Is the schedule, Vince, for the next meeting in August 3rd?
No, it's actually going to be the second meeting because there's a 15-day notice requirement.
So it'd be August 18th,
17th, yes.
17th.
Yep.
Vince, if I understand, the request is for a public hearing, is that correct?
Schedule.
Or schedule it, yes.
Michelle, can you hear me now?
I can.
Schedule, Vince,
The
for,
second meeting seems to have
next
gone
meeting in
away.
August 3rd?
Well,
No, it's actually going to be the second meeting because there's a 15-day notice.
can you hear me?
We're getting feedback again.
Yeah.
17th.
You have reached Jake Fair.
Okay, yeah, it's a delay feedback too.
I can. The second meeting seems to have gone away. Well,
No, it's actually going to be the second meeting.
Michelle, do you have headphones you can put on?
Is there a YouTube feed that's open?
That's what I'm wondering, if there's two YouTube feeds going on.
Yeah. So it sounds like.
I can. Second meeting seems to have gone away.
Michelle, do you have headphones you can put on?
Is there a YouTube feed that's open?
No,
That's what I'm wondering, if
there's not.
feeds going on.
Okay.
So it sounds like.
Jake, everything is off. There's no YouTube feed on. Hello?
Yes, there is.
That's it. I'm shutting down. No. There's not.
Okay.
I don't know about anybody else, but on my upper left-hand corner, it says recording live on YouTube.
Yes, that's normal.
Okay, Michelle said we weren't recording, so just wanted to point that out.
So we're going to hold here till we can get some of the technical difficulties worked out.
Don't turn off your computer. Okay.
I'm working with Michelle. I'll be 1 second.
Okay, if we all need to reset, we can do that, but we'll wait.
All right, sorry about that, guys. Can you hear me?
Yep, sure can now. And
Okay,
then-
sorry, there were just a lot of voices plus like 3 meetings reverberating and I couldn't take it.
yeah, well,
Stop talking.
I know. And then it was like, we were trying to answer, but there's a delay and then the question
Right.
comes back again. It was.
So my apologies for being a little sharp. There was just way too many voices literally in my head. Sorry. All right, where
Okay.
are we? I'm ready.
So I recall there was a motion by Councilman Michelangelo, supported by Councilman Lamore, to go back into open session.
Okay, I'm
And
ready to call the roll.
please do.
Councilperson Whitman,
Yes.
Angeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Jermaine,
yes,
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes.
Okay,
So,
to adjourn.
well, that was a special meeting, correct? Yeah. So yeah, we need a motion to.
To adjourn from the special
Motion
meeting.
to adjourn.
Or
second,
Okay, got a motion by Councilman Lamore, supported by Councilman Michelangelo to adjourn. Please call the roll.
Councilperson Whitman,
Yes.
Angeli,
yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Jermaine,
yes.
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Okay, we're adjourned with the special meeting. I'll just take a second here, make sure we're set to go. And I'll just make a comment for those that may be watching, and of course we are on YouTube, that just some technical difficulties as we were coming through out of our special meeting, and to get that closed out, to get back into ready to start our regular city council meeting. Clerk Treasurer, are we good?
We're ready.
Okay, at this point, call the city council meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Whitman,
Here.
Angeli,
Present.
Vining,
Here.
Jermaine,
Here,
Lamore,
Here.
Felder,
Here.
Mayor Clark.
Present. So at this time, invocation, and then we'll follow with the pledge.
Grant us the strength to manage the challenges ahead and the wisdom to identify opportunities as we strive to serve our community. As we make decisions, grant us the gift of an open mind, the willingness to learn, and the humility to accept the ideas of others.
Thank you. If you'd all join, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
to the flag
Of the
Of the
United
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 States
States of America.
America,
And to the republic.
and to the republic for which it
one
stands,
nation,
one
under
nation, under God, indivisible,
with
liberty
liberty
with
and
liberty and
justice
justice for all.
Thank you all. That's always, it seems to be a challenge with all the voices, but I appreciate it very much. Clerk, next item, please.
Okay. The next item is any amendments to the agenda.
I understand Mr. Pastu is looking for, as we discussed, amendment. Councilman Michelangelo?
Yeah, Your Honor, I'll make a amendment to the agenda that we schedule a public hearing for August 17th regarding a substantial amendment to the Community Development Block Grant budget for fiscal year 2019, 2020.
Second.
Thank you. There's a motion by Councilman Michelangelo, supported by Councilman Lamore, to amend the agenda so we can discuss scheduling a public hearing regarding the CDBG for the fiscal year 19 to 20. Any comments? Clerk, please call the roll.
And that's to be added under council action.
Yeah, I would think so. Yes, we do that at the end of the council
Council
action.
action. Okay. Councilperson Whitman,
Yes.
Angeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Jermaine,
Yes,
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes.
All right. The next item would be citizen comments not related to an agenda item. And I have, one moment, please.
Okay.
I have a number of emails to read regarding the Custer statue.
Okay.
And I do see attendees in the waiting room. I'm not certain, it doesn't appear that anyone has their hands raised as of yet.
Okay, so I'll make a quick review of the rules of the chambers like we do whether we're in person or through virtual meetings. Just reminder that if there's comments to be made at this point, it's not related to an agenda item. There are no agendas related to the Custer Monument that are currently on the agenda. And also that mindful of your time, that public comments are for 3 minutes. I know the clerk is going to make sure that even those that are letters are written get within that time frame as well. And I think I'll just ask that people, if they do call in, identify their with their name, their street, but also their community of residence. I think we're good.
Okay.
So you want to
I
start?
can, yeah, I can go ahead and read some of the letters, and then if someone raises a hand, I'll pause and we can go to the participants.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. The first letter is, the first email is from Justin Batdor, 423 Washington. Let's see. Dear Clerk and City Council, I totally supported that the Custer statue stay at its current location. President Trump signed orders that statues cannot be removed. The second letter, thank you for reading, is from Jean Germani. Thank you for reading my letter at the City Council meeting of July 6th. It's obvious the statue has become a focal point for other issues in addition to monument location. And then there are 4 listed: monument placement, acknowledging Native American role in the Civil War, acknowledging the Black community during the war, establishing recognition and programs for all of our minority citizens. I oppose moving the monument of General Custer. However, I am in agreement with and would support items 2, 3, and 4. Jean Germani, Monroe, Michigan. All right, there are still no hands raised, so I will read the next one. This is from Jeff Steele, Brownstown Township, Michigan. I'm writing in support of the statue remaining where it is. I would guess that most of the protesters are ignorant of the facts. Custer and his Michigan troopers saved the Union Army at Gettysburg by preventing Confederate cavalry from striking the Union rear. Had Gettysburg been lost, the war would probably have been over and the South would have won. Let's see. There is a hysteria going on right now that I liken to the Salem witch trials, where everyone is hopping onto the politically correct bandwagon without thinking clearly, especially the news media. Don't get me wrong, I generally support the news media and freedom of the press, but in this instance, I only see one side of the story being presented, the protesters' side. I'm opposed to mob rule or mobs deciding which statues should be taken down or that history should be rewritten to satisfy their particular agenda. I would strongly urge the city of Monroe to resist any effort to remove the Custer statue. I see a hand raised, so I will take a pause for a moment.
Okay.
The first hand raised is by Katie Beth Davis, so I will move Katie Beth into a position that she will be able to comment.
Okay. I see it's up. Katie Beth, do you hear us? Katie Beth, do you hear us? Okay. Oh, there she is. Katie Beth, if you can, okay, you're unmuted, so please go ahead.
Hi guys, Katie Beth Davis. I'm over on La Pleasance Road in the township. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you guys again for giving us the time. I have really been listening to all sides, and I'm still in favor of adding some historical context if the statue doesn't get moved. I still see places for it to be served better, especially financially, different areas in the community that it might actually, get a little more studying done. If people could actually have a place to go, because people usually go to a museum to learn history. My other thing I wanted to say was, if everybody is so attached to the statue and don't want to move it for historical purposes, does anybody have any historical attachments to Custer Airport or Custer Road, which resides in Monroe? Possibilities of changing those road names would be possibly to Officer Darren, also Darren Hoskins, which was a very active member in our community, Coach Rossi. There's other things around Monroe with the Custer name. So those options are on the table as well, especially if anybody wanted to show a sign of good faith. I appreciate you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie Beth. Clerk Treasurer?
There are no other hands raised, so I will read the next and final letter that I have regarding the Custer statue. And then I do have another comment that was sent to me while we were in the meeting on a different topic, but
Okay.
still not related to an agenda item.
Thank
This is from Jane Dansard, Monroe, Michigan. The hate group should not be able to provide an online petition to remove our statue of General Custer in the city of Monroe. Online petitions are invalid in the state of Michigan. These groups, funded by an unknown source, are causing chaos across America, and they are now in our community. The online petitions are questionable. There's one petition circulating giving an option to get rid of Custer or keep it on the same site. A lot of fraud and stealing of identity. I passed the statue many times last evening, and this was written back at the beginning of July. After I read Custer Burn in Hell and a sign being paraded on our street corner, I did not hear anyone or see anyone beeping horns. Most cars were ignoring these folks. I did see the signs being placed very close to car windows and these folks in the streets. There's strong force around behind the hate in our country, and we need to become united to beat it. These folks are stirring up division and chaos across America. I have a few pictures if interested. Jane Dansard, Monroe, Michigan. So that's the last letter I have with regard to the statue.
Okay, you say you had another letter or a message for public comment time not related.
Correct. And I still see no additional hands raised, so I will move on. This is from Chris Bika, and he said he was unable to join this evening because he was working, but asked that I pass this along. He sent some pictures, which I will forward to the city manager and council. It's in front of, in front of where Cravings used to be. And he just said, it looks absolutely terrible. I'm not sure what everybody's getting paid to do in the city of Monroe, but do you wonder why people don't come downtown? Please pass it along. And then it's several photos of weeds growing out of street lamps, out of the grates that were surrounding the downtown trees. So those were his comments. And I, like I said, we'll pass that along to the city manager and council.
Very good.
And now there are multiple hands raised. So when you're ready, Your Honor, I will go ahead and.
I am ready to take the next.
All right. So the first hand raised is Graham Denton. Let me move Graham into the queue. Okay.
Can you hear me from this side?
Yes, if you can hear you, name and residency, please.
Yeah, Graham Denton, West 2nd Street, Monroe.
Thank you.
A lot of dramatization from these comments coming in. I guess they're not aware that we're trying to do this through a democratic process and by talking to our local city council. Maybe what they do see in America is statues being torn down across that way, but I hope that we get enough media around this to show that we're not trying to do that, and we're actually having to try to have a dialogue with city council members. And I would just want to say I'm grateful that a few city council members have reached out already, and we've been able to have great dialogues. I really appreciate that, especially for my local representatives. I'll be sending emails to a couple other of you this week in hopes of having similar conversations. I thought that, and they gave realistic reasons for why the statue can't be moved that that makes sense. One could be that it wasn't discussed yet, but there's no money for that. I get that, in Monroe, that it doesn't have a budget. One realistic thing was you guys are busy. We get that too. That's not offensive to me. I realize that you're busy, Those are realistic obstacles that were explained to me. And in that context, that communication is so paramount between us the community and elected officials. I'd like to end by saying I do appreciate you guys moving forward with trying to talk about this, but what does that look like? Can we do a motion to form a committee to actually discuss different reasons and bring people in from the community and discuss these things? I'd love to talk to people who think that I'm erasing history and ask them, well, how does that work if you're giving it to a museum or somewhere else and then putting up his involvement in the American Indian Wars? That type of language was still used in the first meeting here, other things that were said that it won't change anything. Well, how come Nike, FedEx, MLS, NBA, NFL, the Washington no longer Redskins, they're all getting involved. You have to ask yourself, if it doesn't matter, why are they changing things? Why are Columbus statues going The final thing is that I'd like to say is your history is our reality. Since doing this, I've had racial slurs aimed at me, threats of violence that's actually being pursued by Monroe PD, and there's been death threats to other members. And so, you know, you guys can talk about the history of this, but the fact is that white supremacists use this as motivation. And you can say, well, that's Confederate statues. Well, recently Churchill in England was being protected by a racial hatred group, and they actually ended up fighting the police, and they were going against Black Lives Matter. So I understand it's very polarizing and emotions get high, but what I'd like to say to the rest of the county of Monroe is we're not doing that. We're not putting a noose, or excuse me, a chain around the statue and pulling it down. We're trying to have a conversation about this. You know, I'm open on Facebook and everything like that. I'm trying to meet with elected officials and do this.
Graham, you have 3 minutes.
Just like to say, what does it look like moving forward? Let's go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Clerk Treasurer?
All right, the next is Edmund Leclerc. I'm moving Edmund into the queue to speak.
Edmund, can you hear us?
Hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, name,
right.
residency, please.
All right. Nice to see all your faces, folks. I just wanted to weigh in. I know about half of you on the city council. I teach history at Monroe County Community College. I think the problem with the Custer statue, at least from my perspective, is we have an important historic piece of art. It is a portion of the city's budget to deal with this statue through forms of upkeep and so on. And while Custer was certainly a hero at Gettysburg, his actions during the Indian Wars are absolutely terrifying. If we had more time, I would read you some of the survivor testimonies from the massacre at Washita that he was involved in. I doubt most people in Monroe know this. And my main perspective is, just as a historian, I feel like if we're going to have a statue which indicates a concept of honor, you know, that we want to honor an individual for his actions, and yet those actions have an incredibly problematic background to them, I personally would love to help bring that history forward so that people can see what he did, why it was divisive when he was alive, why it was divisive upon his death, and why it continues to be divisive over 100 years later. I think that I hear that certainly the concern that it costs a lot of money. Public history is not exactly on the forefront of anyone's political agenda when you're looking at other much more important issues. But if you have a statue in the middle of your town to a man who allowed his soldiers to desecrate human corpses, you do have to stop and question, why is that statue there? And what can we do to explain to people why many view him as a hero, whereas others view him as a monster? And I think that is certainly something that the city needs to be thinking about, because it reflects on all of us that we leave that story untold. And so again, if anyone wants to learn more about Custer, I can suggest some great readings for you. I'd be happy to sit down over coffee even right now and talk to someone about what's going on with this guy. You know, if you know what he did to the Confederates in the Civil War, he's fantastic. I'd love to have a statue up to him. If you know what he allowed to happen to Native American people, you would question why you want that statue in your town at all. And I think that's just what I wanted to put out there tonight. If there's anything I can do to sort of cut through the political hullabaloo you get from the left and the right and simply show people the data so that you can understand what our town is putting up in the middle of our city and why it's really problematic, even from a historical vantage point. So thank you very much for the time, folks.
Thank you, Edmund. Clerk Treasurer Lavoy.
Right. All right, Cole is the next one, moving Cole into the queue. All right.
Okay, Cole, if you could, there you go, you're unmuted. Just name, residency, and continue.
Hi, yeah, it's Cole again, Cole Bean. I'm on West Lorraine Street. I really think that the people right before me said it beautifully, the various things that I would want to say. I did just want to mention that I noticed in a lot of the commentary that we get for keeping the statue, a lot of the argument is that the people who want to remove it are somehow ignorant or don't understand their history. And I would like to challenge that, in that I think a lot of us are actually quite well learned we like reading books. We like talking about these things. We like learning and, watching documentaries and things. And I don't think that saying things like that is particularly helpful in these cases. It just doesn't allow for a conversation to continue when you just say that the other side is stupid or ignorant. And I also would like to say that a lot of you have seen what we've been doing a lot in Monroe, and it has been very peaceful. It's been unifying. There have been people from multiple different ethnicities, from different religions, we have gay people involved, we have straight people involved. And it's what we're here for is for the America that we were taught to believe in, an America where everyone can come together and learn from each other. It's not an America that I think a lot of people in marginalized communities have seen yet, but it's a beautiful dream, I think. I think America really is a place that we can unify and have a kind future together, but we need to put aside the idea that one side is ignorant or one side is hateful, and we need to talk to each other. And honestly, a lot of the times, the people who do feel the way that they do about the statue will also say things that are quite violent and are quite divisive as well. So I think that you'll find that they use a term called snowflake a lot, for example, to show that they believe that people who are all for gay rights and, these sorts of movements are somehow weak. And I don't think so. I think we're strong. We're stronger together. That's what I was taught about our country. If we can unify and learn to live together in our differences, I think we'll be a better country for it. I'm not interested in violence, and I don't think that we should be trying to have that sort of divisive message. And I wish that people who have been writing in would, instead of saying we're ignorant and divisive and hateful, they would sit down at a table and really listen and not just shout over what we're trying to talk about. And so I was going to read my letter, but I know I already sent y'all a letter in, and I think it was pretty well written for how I feel about the statue. And like I said, the people before me said a lot that was really pertinent. I just wanted to add that factor. Our whole movement is about love and healing and reconciliation.
Thank you, Cole. Clerk Treasurer Lavoy.
There are no additional hands raised, Your Honor.
Okay, I just moving forward. I know that the city manager has some comments to make during his time regarding the where we're at currently and moving forward in some of these conversations. Clerk, next item, please.
The next item would be under council action, item 2808, resolution to amend city charter, increase maximum millage rate for road and trail improvements.
Thank you. Mr. Pastu, if you want to do an introduction and then see council's discussion.
Thank you, Your Honor. Make sure I'm okay. I wanted to make sure I was not muted there. Today, we're presenting the resolution to place on the November ballot for consideration by the electorate is a levying up to 2 mills for 15 years, beginning in the 2021 tax year and running through 2035 for the purpose of improvement of repair, replacement, construction of roads, sidewalks, ramps, pedestrian and bicycle trails and paths. The language for sidewalks, ramps, and trails and paths was added based on a discussion that we had at our last work session. So to put this language, if approved, we would forward it on to the governor's office as well as the state attorney general for their review before having it finalized for the November ballot.
Thank you. I'll see if there's any comments or questions from the council members first. I have something regarding, I think, some of the discussion we had and trying to read through the proposed amendment, but Councilman Lamore, you have your hand raised if you'd start.
Thank you, Your Honor. My main concern with this is what type of money are we talking about per resident? Just so that everybody knows, I understand that there's a great need to fix the roads. There is no doubt there. But I just want to make sure we know what every resident's getting into when they actually vote yes or no for this.
If I may, Your Honor?
Yes, please do.
Again, using the example I provided at the last meeting, assuming you've got a $200,000 taxable or $200,000 market value home, taxable value, half of that at 100,000, the 2 mil levy would cost $200 additional per year. Do the math. If you're a $100,000 home, 50,000 taxable value, obviously $100 per year additional.
Thank you, Vince. I just wanted clarification. That's all I was looking for.
Thank you. Councilman Michelangeli.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we adopt the resolution to place on the November 2020 general election ballot a charter amendment to amend section 118 maximum general tax for the purpose of improvements, repair, replacement, and construction of roads, sidewalks, ramps, pedestrian, bicycle trails, and paths.
Second,
Okay, there's a motion by Councilman Michelangeli, supported by Councilwoman Germaini on item 2808. Before we vote, I did have one question. I think it came up in our discussion. And I know Councilman Michelangeli, we talked about adding the pedestrian bicycles, which I think the council supported. I recall in that discussion that, that a portion be designated. And like not having that portion in the resolution, I'm not sure it's the right place. I'm looking to Mr. Pastou and also City Attorney. It would leave the ability for a future council to appropriate a significant amount to that. And I think we're looking for support from the community. And I think the community does understand the dire needs of our streets and the sidewalks. And I don't want to lose people that would support it, but not knowing what that could be. So I'm trying to kind of talk that through as a thought process to make sure we get the message on the proposal correct. And should we have, I think you had said a quarter mil or something, and if it's sidewalks and the pathways, I think it'd probably come out to amount. But maybe I'm overthinking, maybe it's not necessary, but I just wouldn't want to leave it to somebody later to maybe do something different. So I'm looking to Vince or the attorney, Mr. Pastou, but John, I'm sorry, Councilman Michelangeli, if I heard it wrong, please correct me as well.
No, Your Honor, you heard it correct when we had our discussion on it.
Yeah.
I think my response is I think it would be awful hard for a future city council to take a majority of this money and put it in the trails because they're ultimately accountable to the citizens.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not sure it was necessary. It's just I want to bring it out because I think I know where the council is really focused to, and maybe that's part of our messaging campaign as if this gets passed, is how we make sure we understand and communicate that as well. I think is important in the future. So probably isn't necessary, but I just thought it is worth a discussion right at the start point to know what the priorities are, and I think everybody kind of understands that in the community as well. And if there's any other thoughts. Okay. Mr. Buds.
Your Honor, the only thing I would say is that in drafting this, we obviously put everything together under one millage. If the council desired for messaging purposes to say it was rather than a set millage for the collective total, it could certainly be proposed as two separate amendments for two separate purposes if there was a strong enough desire to do that, just so that I'm clear on possibilities.
I will say what I heard from the council is collective is what we were looking at because they're equally important. We know that we have motorized traffic and people want to get down the streets into their homes and through the community, but also equally we have the necessity to cover the non-motorized. And I think the council, from the discussion I recall, we're looking at to be collective for that reason. And I was just trying to think if we needed something more definitive, but I think that's the messaging. Councilman Michelangeli, I know you look like you're gonna have a thought.
Your Honor, we talked about maybe allocating a certain percentage to trails, and then I started thinking it through. There may be periods where we don't want to allocate to trails because we want to allocate more money to roads.
Right.
So I think we have to have the flexibility, and like I said, we're always accountable to the community in terms of how the money is going to be spent. So I'm kind of leaning towards not coming up with an arbitrary percentage or millage amount.
Okay.
But I also agree with you. I think it's collective, together, equal, not separate.
Yeah. I think that's what we got from our work session, from the council's input. I agree. I'll see if there's any other final comments from council. Could we have a motion again from Councilman Kalani, supported by Councilwoman Germaini, on item 2808, as has been discussed regarding the resolution amending city charter on the increased maximum village rate for road and trail improvements. Hearing no further conversation, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Whitman,
Yes.
Michaelangeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Jermaine,
yes,
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Thank you all. Clerk, next item, please.
Next item is item 2805, resolution to consider charter amendment eligibility for elective office.
Thank you. Mr. Pastu?
Thank you, Your Honor. We've talked about this probably over the last couple of years, looking at the age eligibility for elective office, but also other aspects contained in Section 35 of the city charter. The current section specifies that one must be at least 25 years of age, reside in the city for at least 2 years prior to nomination, and must be able to read and speak the English language. The proposed ballot language would reduce that eligibility to 21. The recommendation is to follow the state constitution age, which for eligibility to serve in the Michigan House of Representatives or the Michigan Senate, which is 21. The ballot proposal also eliminates reference to the justice of the peace, since that elected position no longer exists. It removes a sentence requiring a candidate to be able to read and write the English language. It's no longer enforceable, particularly when you consider a possible candidate with disabilities. And finally, the language that one must live in the city prior to nomination remains unchanged.
See if there's any comments or action. Councilman Lamore, your hand's up.
Just making a motion, Your Honor.
Okay. As he gets ready for the motion, I don't see any hands for comments. Thank you to Mr. Pastu for putting this one forward. I think it speaks well to, and for a variety of reasons of importance to update our charter regarding this. Councilman Lamore, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Regarding Council Action 2805, I make a motion to adopt the resolution to place on the November 2020 general election ballot charter amendment to amend Section 35, eligibility for elective office.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Lamore, supported by Councilman Felder on item 2805, resolution to consider charter amendments regarding elective office. Hearing no further comments or hands. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Whitman,
Yes.
Michaelangeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Jermaine,
yes,
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes.
The next item is item 2807, resolution to amend city charter terms of appointed officers.
Mr. Pastu?
Thank you, Your Honor. This resolution be placed on the November 2020 general election ballot would amend Section 47 of the charter pertaining to terms for appointed offices. Currently, Section 47 lists the following appointed officers along with specified terms: city attorney, 2 years, chief of police, 1 year, fire chief, 1 year, city engineer, 1 year, 4 members of the board of review, of which the city attorney serves, all for 1-year terms, and 3 election inspectors for each precinct serving 1-year terms. Language in this section allows the city council to remove an appointed official by majority vote. The proposed amendment would eliminate the terms for the appointed office, and city council can remove them at any time by a majority vote. The removal language in the charter does not change. Furthermore, the council has not made annual appointments for the chief of police, fire chief, city engineer for quite some time. The city attorney serves at the city council's pleasure, and the retainer agreement reflects that. Board of Review members would still follow the appointment process. Election inspectors are appointed by the Election Commission. So recommending that council consider placing this on the November ballot.
If there's any comments from council regarding this item, and if not, action. Councilman Moore.
Just making a motion, Your Honor, regarding Council Action 2807. I'd make a motion to adopt the resolution to place on the November 2020 general election ballot a charter amendment to amend Section 47, terms of appointed officers.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Moore, supported by Councilman Michelangelo. Item 2708, the resolution to amend city charter regarding terms of appointed officers, and adopt the resolution.
Your Honor,
Yes, Councilman Felder.
before we proceed, there appears to be comments from the audience.
Okay. So, look at Mr. Buds, I guess we comments is like it's an item that's not pulled, but it's an item for council action. I think we normally take comments.
Your Honor, I would say that normally, since the comment period beginning and ends for items not on the agenda during an agenda item, if a member of the public had comment, we would normally take that in council chambers, and I'd recommend we do the same here as well.
Yeah, I agree. Clerk Lavoy, do you see comment? Because I don't see it on mine, but that doesn't mean anything.
I saw that Gloria Raffco had a hand raised. I assumed it was for later, but I put her in the queue, so.
Well, it's queued on the screen. It's muted, so I'll just ask if there's comments related to this item regarding terms of appointed officers. Obviously, it's not elected officers, it's appointed officers. We'll give an opportunity to see if Ms. Raffco wants to unmute and speak. Okay, we're not getting an audio if there's comments to be made.
Your Honor, this is Jake Perry. She is unmuted. She has to unmute her own microphone if she wants to speak.
Okay. So we've unmuted from this end, but I'll just ask again if Ms. Raffco wishes to speak, she'll need to unmute. Okay. Okay, no, it don't appear to be there, so maybe it was just removed.
I removed.
Okay.
I believe she would have commented.
Sure, I believe so too. And if not, there's an opportunity to raise the hand right now.
Yes, I've lowered her hand, so if she wishes to speak, she should signal.
Okay. We'll give a moment.
Okay.
Don't see that.
No.
Okay, there's a motion by Councilwoman Moore, supported by Councilman Michelangelo. Again, item 2807 as stated. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Whitman,
Yes.
Angeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Germaini,
yes,
Moore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Next item, please.
The next item is item 2799, Opportunity Center at ALCC Interior Renovations Bid Award.
Mr. Pastou?
Thank you, Your Honor. We talked about this at the last work session, the bids that were received for this project being 9 bids received, very competitive. And certainly the council expressed interest in moving forward. So what we're recommending is to approve a contract with interior renovations at the Opportunity Center at ALCC to be awarded to C.E. Gleason Constructors in the amount of $599,100, and that a total of $660,000 be awarded to include a 10% contingency subject to HUD's approval for the encumbrance, of which the next item I'll address, and that the finance director, assistant city manager be authorized to make any necessary transfers, and the clerk treasurer be authorized to sign the agreement.
Okay, Councilman Felder, I see you have your hand up.
Yes, Your Honor. Thank you. I know that we discussed this in a work session previously, and got to thinking after that work session that many of the funds that are going towards this, that are being redirected towards this project, are CDBG funds for community development programs. I feel that the community is, that those funds need to go in, to be used in such a way as to help the community and assist with some of the issues that many of those attendees here tonight are bringing to the fore. I just had a question for the city administration, if we had any idea as to the local contractors that are going to be used in this project by the proposed contractor. If any of them were going to be local labor, if any of them were going to be local contractors, how much money is going to be able to stay in the area? Because I think that particularly as we're building a community center, that the community sort of needs to be involved in that construction project. Using those funds in such a way keeps that money in the community. And first of all, you get the, whatever the thing is that you're building, in this case, a kitchen, and the value of that to the community, which is certainly an asset. But then also you inject those funds into the community that are going to be used in our local businesses and stores, and that they're going to put in their own homes that improve this town for all of us. So I'm really want to push that. I know that in the past we've only got 1 or 2 contractors because everyone's so busy, or the bids have not been nearly as competitive as they have now. I know that we had brought up in the past that we had wanted to, after there was a repeal in prevailing wage, to come up with very similar to how we're doing a development policy as a city and a council in terms of the projects that we would like to see, also have a sort of community impact policy in terms of the contractors which we would like to prefer bids from. Those being more local, higher impact, good jobs for the community, good compensation for the employees. I think that this council really wants and needs to be supportive of businesses that are supportive of their own employees and supportive of the community. And perhaps the reverse is true as well. So I just had that question as to the local impact of this particular project for the contractor that has been selected from the administration.
Mr. Pastu.
Thank you, Your Honor. And Mr. Felder and I had, he gave me a heads up about the question earlier tonight, which I did appreciate. I haven't looked at who the subcontractors are, where they're from, but a reminder, the Mark Cochran, when we were talking about it just before the meeting, they are subject to the Davis-Bacon requirements. These are federal funds, and so there is typically prevailing wage requirements that go with it, but I couldn't tell you individually who the subcontractors would be using for that project.
So we don't have any idea if they're local?
I do not.
Do we have any idea if any of the other contractors use or prefer local contractors and workers?
No. And unfortunately, Mr. Lewis, who kind of, when he put together the construction, bids for this, he's on vacation at this point in time, and maybe off the top of his head, he could have remembered what the subcontractor list was, but obviously doing the due diligence, we at least look to make sure that they're a contractor that's reputable and capable of performing the work. That part we know, but we didn't go through the list of which subs they were using for these for this project.
Would it be prudent to table the item until the August 3rd meeting to allow the time for administration and staff to investigate that? Your Honor, I guess I'm making a motion to table this item until the August 3rd meeting, after which staff and administration have such time as to investigate the criteria that I have laid out.
Okay, you're making a motion. I'll have some comments, see if there's anybody that's supporting that motion. Councilman Michelangelo.
The question I have, thank you, Your Honor. Question I have to city manager is the project time sensitive that we can afford to wait until the next meeting so council can, or the administration can get back with us on this question?
There is, I'm going to tell you, we probably could wait 2 more weeks. I know there's a great deal of interest in getting it moving forward, but I'm not sure that that resides with the contractor.
Your Honor,
Councilman Michelangeli.
I know that during the construction of the new fire station, we didn't have I don't believe we had any clauses in the bid documents that required local participation, but I think we ended up, the contractor or the general manager that we hired did end up bringing local contractors into portions of the project. And if this is not time sensitive, I guess I would just to get the information, support Councilman Felder's motion to table for 2 weeks, just to get a report back to see if there are any subcontractors that are local that are part of the project. And then in addition, maybe in the future, when we put out these type of contracts, even though it's not a requirement, we ask the contractor that's bidding to at least list the various local subcontractors that they plan on using.
Good point.
You know, I guess if there comes a support motion to Councilman Felder, I guess as we look at, this is the recommendation on the bid that was received and the verification of the work they've done. I don't have a problem with getting more information, but if we're not going to like the information, then we have there's 8 other contractors on here. And then it comes to be, do we vet through all of those, or do we do that one at a time? Obviously, we don't have time for that. But at what point is it going to be where it's versus the bid that we've, as we all know, have allocated and reallocated, repurposed funds to meet this project, because it is of importance to all of us and to the community for the reasons we've stated before. But then do we start looking down each of these contractors to find the one it is, and then what's the difference in the amount that's palatable to the council?
Your Honor,
Yes.
Ed Sell has a hand raised. I don't
Okay,
know if
I'm
it's
sorry, I didn't see that.
purposeful
Mr.
or
Sell.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to talk a little bit about the bid process. When the bid forms were submitted for all of these, there was a spot to list their subcontractors. And for this particular bid, there were 2 subcontractors listed. I don't recognize them as local subcontractors, though. One was Forest Air Systems Incorporated, and one was DKI International Incorporated. So those are the only 2 subcontractors they listed with their bid submittal.
Okay. So it answers the question, I guess, for what subcontractors were listed, but it doesn't answer the question if right down through the line of those that submitted bids, what their subcontractors might have been. Councilman Felder.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I may respond briefly, I think that this, like many things that council has attempted to discuss and hasn't quite gotten to because of certain delays this year especially, there was every intention, in my belief, to create an investment policy in terms of development and how we were going to pursue those projects, which I don't believe that we've passed any resolutions on. Though we've sort of dealt with that issue a little bit on a case-by-case basis so as to make the administration aware of our intentions and our long-term goals. Part of that was a part of the discussion for the goals and objectives session. What we've not done yet is for how we're contracting these things, have a process in place of what we see as the impacts to the community and what we see as beneficial of perhaps non-economic or non-monetary benefits to the community, dependent on the variations in the contractors used. Because I do think that those have an impact, and I do think that we have a responsibility to the community not to, specifically for a project that is supposed to serve a community in such a way, to try and use those funds in a way that elevates and provides employment opportunities for the people that live in this town. I think that any situation in which we have an opportunity to do that and improve our community in so doing, that's a good thing, and we should pursue that. Now, I believe in the long term that we need to make a policy so that we know these things going in. Right now, we're sort of trying to do it after the fact. And for that, I apologize. But I think it needs to happen nonetheless. Let me say that.
I guess that might be a conversation that we're going that we'll be having. I mean, I have to understand exactly what it is. Is it preference? Is it mandatory? Is it? I mean, there's 9 contractors that submitted bids. I can't look at the list. I can't tell you where they're all from either. So, Council Michelangeli.
Your Honor, the way I'm looking at, I mean, we've got the answer to the question that we wanted to delay the project for 2 weeks based on what Mr. Sell provided, that we have 2 subcontractors and they do not appear to be Monroe County subcontractors. But on the other hand, we did put out a bid package that was based on all of the CDBG federal bidding requirements. And I don't want to go back and open this, rebid all of this project. It was fairly bid. We got 9 competitive bids. But I do agree with Councilman Felder. I think we need to have a council conversation, maybe about when we bid future projects, that maybe have a clause in there regarding preference for local subcontractors or general contractors. But I don't want to go back and have to redo this project based on the fact that, 1, it was competitively bid, 2, it was all based on CDBG and federal standards, which does include Davis-Bacon, and it's going to include prevailing wage. That's a requirement. So I'm withdrawing my support for the tabling because my question was answered.
Okay, well, there's the motion still on the table, and I'll see if there's a second. Councilman Lamore, you have a comment or?
Another question, really. Ed, can you answer whether or not I see some of the other bidders on the list there. Does it list their subcontractors as well?
I'm looking through them now, but the second low bidder just said to be determined. So it's not going to say yes in all cases, it looks like.
Yeah, and there was another one that was close to that too, I think for like $1,000 more or something like that.
Right. I'm looking at trying to get to that one right now, but I don't see it at this point.
Yeah, the Delventhal company.
Yeah, that was actually the one that said to be determined. I'm looking at DNS contractors right now, but I don't see where they have it listed.
Okay, so there's at least the recommendation was to the first bidder, and I think we have the answers was stated. So there's a motion by Councilman Felder, and I'll ask again to see if there's a second. Seeing none, then the motion doesn't move forward. Other comments or questions? We still need a motion or action.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we approve the contract for interior renovations for the Opportunity Center at ALCC and award the contract to CE Gleason Contractors in the amount of $599,000, $599,100, and a total of $660,000 be awarded to include a 10% contingency, subject to HUD approval to encumber fiscal year 2020-2021 CDB allocations, and that the Director of Finance, Assistant City Manager be authorized to make the necessary transfers, and the Mayor and City Clerk be authorized to sign the necessary contracts on behalf of the city.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Michelangeli, supported by Councilwoman Germaini on item 2799, the Opportunity Center at ALCC Interior Investments Bid Award. Final comments from council. Okay, clerk, would somebody speak? No.
I don't think so.
Okay, sorry. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Whitman,
Yes.
Angeli,
Yes.
Vining. Vining. Okay, Germaini,
Yes.
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. I think next item is the amended included item.
Correct. So it doesn't have a, an item number that will be added in the clerk's office following the meeting. So it's an item to discuss scheduling public hearing to consider substantial amendment to the Community Development Block Grant Program year 2019-2020 allocation.
Mr. Pastu, I don't know if you have
I
some.
didn't know if Mr. Cochran could pull that up, share the screen on that item or not.
Sure.
Thank you. So obviously in bold is the title, but it is to schedule a public hearing for August 17th via remote technology. And the purpose is to solicit public participation and consider amending the program year 2019-2020 CDBG allocation to provide additional funding for the Opportunity Center at ALCC Kitchen Interior Improvements Project by reallocating unencumbered project and program balances. There is a CDBG timeline that I had tonight scheduling the public hearing. Notice has to be published at least 15 days prior to public hearing, holding the public hearing on August 17th. And then once that takes place, the following day, there's a 30-day period for comment with that. And then the 30-day comment period would commence or would terminate September 18th, and then back before the city council would be an amendment to approve that on September 21st. Part of the challenges is trying to make all this work in the context of having the CDBG money. So here's the contractor timeline, approving tonight the contract, which you did. Signatures and contractor mobilization will take place through the end of the month, early August. First contractor pay request will come at the end of August, and more than likely the first payment by city council would be presented at the September 21st. So you understand how this all kind of fits together, so we can, and then when we do the 2021 program budget, we'll take many of those unencumbered those projects that are unspent projects for this year, rebalance them and move them forward, but at least allows us to spend the funding in place to get this project rolling.
Any questions from council for Mr. Pastu? Yeah. Is that Councilman Michelangeli?
Yeah, Your Honor, I'll be happy to make a motion that we schedule the public hearing for August the 17th at 7:30. The purpose of the public hearing is to review and solicit comment regarding a substantial amendment to the CDB application for fiscal year 2019-2020.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Michelangeli, supported by Councilman Lamore on the item regarding the public hearing for the CDBG and the allocation as stated. Any final comment from council members? Seeing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Whitman,
Yes.
Echo Angeli,
Yes.
Vining, okay, Germaini,
Yes.
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes.
The next item is the consent agenda, and for item B, approval of payments, the amount should read $1,065,150.77, 1065,150.77.
Thank you. On the consent agenda, there are two items. Any of the items on the consent agenda council wishes to have pulled for further discussion? And seeing no hands raised or verbal, I'll ask if there's any items on the consent agenda, those that are on the call that wish to have pulled for further discussion, the two items on the consent agenda.
I see no hands raised, Your Honor.
Thank you. At this point, a motion be in order. Councilman Lamore?
Your Honor, I make a motion that we accept all the items that are placed on the consent agenda, have all of the items recorded by the clerk, and have those actions carried out.
Councilman Felder? Okay. Yep. Motion by Councilman Moore, supported by Councilman Felder, that the items on the consent agenda be accepted, placed on file, and recommendations carried out. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Whitman,
Yes.
Echo Angeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Jermaine,
yes,
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Next
I have
item.
I have no further items, Your Honor.
Thank you. We're at council comments. It's July. Councilwoman Whitman, any comments?
I don't think so. Seeing as it's been so warm and everybody's staying in, I have no comments.
Thank you. Councilman Michelangelo.
Yes, Your Honor, I do have a comment. I think, and it's in regards to the community dialogue that we've been seeing with the Custer statue. So I'm going to recommend, and maybe there'll be some council conversation, but I have a planned motion that I would like the council to consider. And the motion is that the city partner with the county museum, the National Park Service, Monroe County Community College, and Native American representatives on the development of a site master plan for the current site that fully explains General Custer's entire military career.
Okay, I know that Mr. Pastu kind of has some information of those contacts that are along that line. So if maybe we hold your motion there, I'm not saying, I'm not looking for a second. It might be some information there that is pertinent to that, or maybe even expand on that. So if we could hold that for a second, maybe now is the appropriate time to hear from Mr. Pastu. And I know it's in the middle of council comments, but that way we're have some additional information possibly. Is that Councilman, does that work?
That's great. Not a problem.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you. Mr. Pastu?
Thank you, Your Honor. Essentially, my comments were very similar as far as identifying the partnerships and stakeholders associated with that to tell the full story and what have you. I wasn't contemplating a site master plan, if you will, but certainly some interpretive displays telling the full story potentially. So beyond that, I don't think there's much more for me to add. It was very similar in thought as well.
Okay. So I don't know if we'll need to have the motion again, but I'll just see if there's other comments from council regarding this action at the end of the meeting. I don't think it's outside the discussion we've had. It's not outside discussion. Administration has been reached out to National Park Service. While it's not within the time frame of the National Park, the way in which the National Park Service conducts educations and provides a full information and as a perspective that we've talked about before. And that way, those that, whether you're visiting there or some other similar type location, museum, monument, whatever it is, then you interpret from the information and take what you want. And then you learn from both in a full perspective. And I think that's what Councilman's at least going toward. I think the partners that you've listed are those that were on the list that the city manager has discussed, the museum, Native American, as well as the community college and educational. I think what you're proposing, Councilman, is really kind of solidifying the initial steps. The museum is looking at their exhibits as well on the Custer exhibit, but also to tell the full story internally there. So I think having them as a partner in that discussion is going to be valuable moving forward. So I don't have a problem moving forward. It really solidifies what Mr. Pastu, Mr. Cochran, and what we've had conversation with external partners. I'll see if there's any other comments or thoughts. I see the hand now. I'm sorry, Councilman Moore.
I just want to support Councilman Michelangelo in his motion.
Okay, so I think we're going to need to hear a motion again, if we could, Councilman. I know that you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've got it kind of scribbled, so I'll have to read through it again. And before I make it again, Your Honor, I don't want to exclude any community engagement. I think as part of a dialogue where you have partners and you're talking about improvements to the current site, at some point along the way, the committee or the group of people that are working on it would want to share their ideas with the community and get some community input into it. So this is by no means discounting involvement from interested residents and community members. The motion is that the city partner with the County Museum, the National Park Service, the Monroe Community College, and Native American representatives on the development of a site master plan for the current site that fully explains Custer's entire military career.
Okay, I'll look back to Councilman Moore because it's you seconded. Is that second?
Yes, I'll maintain support.
Okay. Yeah, Councilman, I think your motion is we come to the end of meetings and they're sometimes challenged. This one's not, because I think we've had enough dialogue. And I think it's easy to go to that location and see the markers that are there, and they don't tell the full story. In fact, it kind of just glosses over a portion without any detail at all. And I think that's where we've been from the start, about telling full stories, all stories, for those that may be there. And then from there, I think we have this discussion. Then we make the decision of what that looks like and how it's interpreted. Or presented for interpretation, I should say. There's a motion and a second. Any other comments from council members? Seeing none, there's a motion and a second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Whitman,
Yes.
Eko
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Jermaine,
Yes.
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes. Councilman Michelangelo, other comments?
No, that's it for this evening, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Vining.
I just want to thank all the citizens who called in this evening to make their feelings known. I had some comments made about my facial expressions. I think that by now, all of my fellow council people know that I'm really expressive. I don't mean any disrespect. I'm working on that. I remember when I got on the council, I asked the mayor and other members, how do they hold a straight face in the face of sometimes what I consider to be ridiculous comments? And the mayor, I believe, told me that over time, that's a skill that I would develop. So I'm still working on that, but I don't mean any disrespect. There was a comment on our YouTube feed that Brian Lamore made some comments thanking the police, and that I supposedly rolled my eyes because I don't care about our police. And I just want to defend myself, because that's not true. I actually went back and watched the entire meeting, and I didn't make any expressions when Brian was speaking. So that particular person, I'm sorry I didn't write their name down, because I would have liked to directly call them out to challenge them about that misinformation that they put out to try to suggest that I'm not concerned about our police officers. That is absolutely untrue. So I just wanted to clear that up. And also, I understand what one of the citizens, the comment they were making, when sometimes when I get upset, and I probably do roll my eyes a bit, is when people call in and they make statements like speaking on the mobs and the looting and the violence, knowing full well we haven't had any of that in our county, unless you want to count the foolishness that went on in Bedford. And those people who were misbehaving in Bedford weren't on the side of removing the statue. So I don't think that, that's what we call dog whistles. When you send out, when you make statements like that, referring to people who are not acting in those ways, but you're using terms like mobs and violence and looting and rioting and ignorant and uninformed. So yeah, that does get under my skin a bit at times, but I do respect everyone's right to call in and make their opinions known. But let's just be real. You haven't seen any mobs or violence in the city of Monroe, and it's not true. And the people who are exercising their democratic freedoms should not be referred to that. Now, if they were out there tearing up and and looting and rioting, they would be deserved to be called by those names, but that has not happened in our city. And we shouldn't let people just, we shouldn't gloss over that when people are using those type of terms, when we all know that it's untrue. I mean, there might've been some name calling on both sides, but no physical property damage or things that we've seen in the larger, in the rest of the country. We haven't seen that, and people have been behaving themselves. I don't want to use that word, behaving themselves, but people have been lawfully exercising their rights on both sides. So we shouldn't use those type of terms, because I think it's a way to try to stir up violence. And so that's all I had to say, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thanks, Councilwoman. Councilwoman Germaini.
I too want to thank everybody who speaks up at our meetings and sends letters and emails to be heard at our meetings, because it's great input from the public that we need to hear. And I commend John Icoangeli, because I was going to bring up the same thing. It's time to move forward, and it's time to collaborate together how we can move this forward. And that's what we're doing. So I'm very happy about that. That's all, Your Honor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Moore.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. I also want to thank Councilman Icoangeli for bringing that forward. This is how we're going to continue the dialogue regarding the Custer statue in a peaceable manner. I can only say I appreciate both sides on being patient for this to happen, and I thank you for all your efforts, and bring your dialogue forward and listen. Don't create walls, don't create barriers. Listen to both sides. So I appreciate that very much. Also, one little thing that went a little bit unnoticed tonight was our approval of the lobbyist. I hope and I truly think that will bring a lot of good things to the city of Monroe. Our partnership with the port is for this lobbyist is truly, I think, going to be a great thing for the city of Monroe. And that's it, Your Honor.
Thank you, Councilman. It's getting dark in my room here. Councilman Felder.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'm certainly, along with the rest of council, very supportive of Councilman Icoangeli's motion. Certainly supportive of those that are here this evening, along with those who submitted comments and letters, and for the continued discussion. For no reason less than those who show up and write letters, they care about this town. They care what happens in Monroe, and we need to recognize that the people we disagree with probably still want to make our community better in their own way. So that's why the continued discussion is so critically important, and I hope that we're able to do it. I hope that this moves forward as an inclusive discussion and everyone can have their voice heard. Furthermore, I just want to make it abundantly clear that I'm supportive of the ALCC project, but how we do things matters. Not knowing the contractors who we're working with and not having a process or metrics in place to assess them is a problem. Not knowing which of the contractors in our community that our community awards work to turns around and awards that work to the community itself, that's a problem. Not knowing the impact investments make or how many opportunities we're creating in terms of employment for the people who live and work in this town, that's a problem. How we do things matters. And that's what I hope that we're able to achieve moving forward in setting a definitive policy on the goals and the values that this council espouses and would like to see moving forward with the investments that we're making. I hope it's apparent to those here this evening that there are those investments that are taking place. I think there's been some discussion in the past that there has not been. I think that if you look at this council's record in terms of investment in the underprivileged areas in this community, that you'll find that we have made significant and deliberate efforts to alleviate those problems were found. I hope you will work with us moving forward in that, but I think that looking back, it's very apparent that there's been a significant both development and public monies put towards projects to raise up people in this community and provide opportunities to them. If you have suggestions of how to do that moving forward, I'm always more than happy to hear them as always. Thank you, Your Honor, for the time.
Thank you, Councilman. I just have a couple comments. I'll start by just re-announcing what's come out here in the past week with opportunities for small business. The Michigan Small Business Restart Program is providing grants regarding COVID-19 recovery efforts. I know we've had those come through our community, and our small business have taken advantage of the kind of the first phase. But out of the money that's coming out of Lansing, $1.2 million is coming to Monroe County to grant up to $20,000 to businesses and nonprofits of 50 or fewer employees that are located in the county. I know that the kind of champion it from here in our community is the Monroe County Business Development Corporation. It's on their website, of course, monroecounty.bdc.org. And I know the personnel there are willing to take phone calls. One of the aspects of this go around of grant or funding states that at least 30% of the funds awarded in this program will be provided to women-owned, minority-owned, and veteran-owned eligible businesses. So if you have not seen it, there is a timeline to submit applications. They did do a webinar the day before the applications opened up for bids, which was on July 14th. But the bids can be accepted from July 15th through August 5th. So time is running short now if you haven't heard about it. So the opportunity is still there. I recommend that if you want some additional information, please contact the Monroe County Business Development Corporation. Applications are available, of course, online as well through the state of Michigan over through the BDC. Please get those in if you think you have the need and ability to meet the qualifications. Last comment, I had some thoughts on customer mining as well. I think it's all pretty well been said. I think that the motion is in line with some of the preliminary discussions that the administration, the city manager, Mr. Cochran, myself have had, but this puts it formalized to the council. So I appreciate the movement forward on this as well, and that we come to good discussions and then understanding, and then we see what we do in the future regarding not just the customer mining, but really about the messaging and our location. So I'll leave it at that. Looking for my notes here. Clerk Treasurer Lavoy.
I just have a quick thing. I wanted to, some of the folks that have called in have actually ended up volunteering or have sought out a position as an election inspector. So I really appreciate that. What we have coming up is probably the most challenging election I've ever faced, and this isn't even November yet. I'll probably be saying that in November too, but it's been really, really difficult this year. We had an election commission meeting earlier that delegated authority to me to appoint election inspectors right through election day, because that's what I think I'll be needing to do. So if anyone is interested in becoming an election inspector, I have 14 days to work with you and get you trained, and I will be working through this weekend and through next weekend to get that done for anyone who may want to be part of the process. There's been a lot of rhetoric about this year's election, and we have, I believe, set up a system where those who want to vote from home, absentee, are able to do that. You can still obtain an absentee ballot. You can come to City Hall. You can still request it by mail. We can mail it to you. There's all kinds of ways to vote without coming to the precinct. For those of you who want to come to the precinct on election day, the precincts will be open, and they will operate as they always have, as you're used to seeing, in the same locations. We're not even consolidating precincts here, and in a number of places throughout the state, that's what they're having to do. But I've worked really hard, and in cooperation with administration and all of you and others in the community, we're keeping those precincts open. So what I wanted to say is, despite all of the rhetoric, people sometimes, I think, forget that elections at the end of the day are powered by voters, and they're powered by regular citizens, just like you and me and those in the audience tonight, who actually work the elections. The elections don't happen without the voters, and they don't happen without the people stepping up and volunteering to, and it's not even volunteering because it is a paid position, deciding to join in as an election inspector. If August is too soon for you and you're not able to participate, I am asking you to strongly consider coming on board with us for November. We're going to need a lot of people to carry out the elections, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from some of you and having you be part of the process. So that's all I have to say this evening, Your Honor. If anybody wants to get in touch with me, they know where to find me. And then we have a lot of information on our website as well. Jody Egan is working with me to get things on Facebook. So I look forward to hearing from a number of people.
Councilwoman Vine, I think you have either a question or a comment for clerk and everybody.
Yes, I had a question for the clerk treasurer. What are you thinking about Navarre with all the 3 South with all the construction going on?
Patrick has assured me for a number of months now that Navarre Library will be, you will be unimpeded when you try to vote that day, and I'm holding him to that. In fact, I drove by there today myself and took a look at it. So when he's back in the office, he and I will again have a conversation. But he, over the years, has been true to his word about that sort of thing. So I'm confident that it'll be okay. You know that's a priority for me, and I'll bug him if he gets stuck at all. But I'm sure he'll take care of it.
Thank you.
I think Councilman Lamore has something.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't. Councilman Lamore?
Yeah, just a little quick thing here. I think Michelle mentioned that not the location, but where specifically it's going to be at the YMCA for my precinct 5. It's going to be in the back end towards the tennis courts where the entrance is going to be.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. We're really excited about that. The YMCA is allowing us the opportunity to be in the large gym this time, and we're hoping that's a precursor for November when we anticipate more people coming to the precincts. So in conjunction with Jody Egan, we will be designing signage that will lead people back. So once you get to the Y, there will be directional signage. But yeah, it'll be around the back entrance. And that's really to help the YMCA stay a sanitized building as much as possible. But yes, thanks for bringing that up. And we'll make sure that there's clear direction for voters come election day and prior so they can prepare. We have a lot of people voting absentee, though. I will say that. So we've divided into 3 absentee counting boards to handle the volume. So again, I think there's plenty of opportunity for someone to choose how they wish to have their voices heard this election.
Very good. Anything further, clerk, treasurer?
I have nothing else.
Okay. Mr. Pastu. Oh, you're muted, sir. There you
Sorry
go.
about that. A couple things, Your Honor. Just a reminder that our August 3rd meeting will start at 6 p.m. We're not going to have a work session, and part of that is recognizing that the clerk treasurer's got a very long day the next day. So I typically try to keep those brief and moving them along quickly and starting them earlier. So just as a reminder. Mr. Bika had sent a note and I actually noticed a couple of the tree grates late last week being in not very good looking repair. So we'll follow up on that. And I also, somewhat related to just general code enforcement, we got a late start because of the pandemic and some of the aspects of the governor's executive order, and we usually have 2 blight officers. One just returned to work after a lengthy illness, and so he's back at work, and hopefully we can keep plugging away and making a dent on it. But it's been kind of not a great year in that regard. So those were the 2 items, Your Honor.
Thank you. So we'll see if there's any additional comments, clerk treasurer.
I don't see any hands raised, Your Honor. Oh, I see one. I see 2.
Okay, we'll start through the process. Again, mindful of the time, but go ahead.
All right. First, Katie Beth is in the queue.
Okay, Katie Beth, you're going to have to take off your campaign sign, please.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
No,
I can just let it go. It has nothing to do with, I'm trying to do it while I'm talking to you. It has nothing to do.
I know,
with-
but it's not appropriate to be displayed on a government.
I'm sorry.
company.
I'll just take it off. Sorry.
So, Your Honor, well, I moved
I
her.
welcome her to come back. I just,
Yeah,
because it's just, I know it's not intentional. It's just a
right.
page that they have. I understand that.
Well, I had moved her off, but I see that now that she's gone. So yes, if she pops back in, I will make sure that that's brought to your attention. So
Perfect.
the next person in the queue is Mr. Mika.
Okay.
So
See if Mr. Mecca, your name?
Oh, here, Richard Micka. Yeah, Richard Micka. I reside in the city of Monroe. I would like to commend the Councilman Iko Angeli and the rest of the city council for taking the initiative to address the Custer issue. Well done. History will speak for itself. Thank you, people.
Thank you, Mr. Mecca. Other comments, Clerk Treasurer?
no, I don't see her back. And I
Okay.
don't see any other hands raised.
Okay. I am sure that she'll have opportunity if she wishes to send something forward that can get sent to the clerk's office or the city manager's office, make sure it gets to the city council.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see anything further. Oh, I do. There's another hand raised.
See Graham?
Yes. Graham has been moved to the queue.
Hello again. Hey, Katie Beth got removed, but she wanted to say that she works for a local construction company and they would love to do a bid for the roofing project. She just wanted me to pass that information along before she got cut off. So that's all I had to say.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
And I just want to clarify that Katie was not removed from the meeting.
Yeah.
We don't do that. So I merely moved her out of the queue. I put her back into the waiting area. So I'm not sure what exactly happened, but I just felt for clarity's sake, I wanted to say that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to misrepresent it. Yes, whatever happened, she wanted to say that before the technical difficulty. Or
Exactly.
whatever.
We
Thanks,
could
Graham.
definitely agree on that. Thank you.
No problem. Have a good one.
You too.
Other,
I see no other hands raised.
okay, with that, at this time, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Moore, supported by Councilwoman Whitman to adjourn. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilperson Whitman,
Yes.
Iko Angeli,
Yes.
Vining,
Yes.
Germaini,
Yes.
Lamore,
Yes.
Felder,
Yes.
Mayor Clark.
Yes, we're adjourned. Thank you all. Thank you for your discussion and the information. Have a good evening.
Good evening.
Good night.
Night.
Bye.